Welcome to my live stream, live from Bangkok, Thailand. Today, the top story is a bit of an exclusive about Apple rejecting an all-mail app from its App Store. And I'm going to have an exclusive interview with its developer. Then we're going to hear from what I call the Delulu of the week. This girl thinks that all men are like her father, who is a simp, and that's a bit of a problem for her. Then I will go over a dating profile of the day, and this time I will recommend that you swipe right on this lady, but not for the reasons that you may think. And then we're gonna go over not one but two comments of the day, and these two feminist apologists could probably be one of the fathers of the girl in the Delulu of the week segment. All right, let's get to the top story today, which is a bit of an exclusive because I had to dig this story up from one of the subreddits, and where I've noticed that one of the developers said that Apple has rejected his all-mail app from its app store, even though it's pretty much the same as the T app. And I talked to the developer, and I will play that interview for you a little bit later. But just so you're aware, there is this T app that made a lot of headlines last month because it got hacked. But originally, this app was for, and still is, for women to essentially talk shit and share a very personal information of all these men that they've dated and didn't like for one reason or the other. This is based on the Are We Dating the Same Guy Facebook group network. And there is news about that lawsuit as well. And essentially, this is just a way of women to violate men's privacy while bashing them. It's perfectly fine. It's with Apple. It's in their store and it's been there for a while, despite the fact it got hacked yesterday, where ironically enough, all of the women's personal information and conversations and pictures and private information all got leaked out. So I guess payback is a bitch, as they say, right? But the developer, his name is Anton Antoine, um, developed this app that's essentially the same as the T app. And when he tried submitting it to the store, after a while, actually, he got this notification basically saying, these are all the things that don't meet our terms of use, even though these are the same features as the T app, the original T app has. So I messaged him. I say, listen, can you tell me a little bit about it? And apparently he actually talked to the Apple representatives directly. So this is what happened.
So it wasn't approved right away. So they rejected it the first time I submitted it. And then it was relatively radio silence until they came back with a rejection, which I did an update for. And then there was another radio silence for 20 days. They were completely dismissive. I was going through the app review process. I was trying to message them as well. They were completely silent for 20 days until they came back with a full-on list of policies that the app broke.
And
And so
what are those policies that they said they cannot allow?
yeah, so they couldn't allow apps to identify persons. They said that because the app was identifying the person's age, their name, and where they lived, etc. It was breaking TOS.
And how is this different from what the T app is doing?
So it's relatively not different than what the T app's doing. As a matter of fact, this app, the Coffee app, has less features than what the T app has. The T app actually has a functionality to put in the person's location. The Coffee app does not even have that. It's just simple input fields with just asking the name, the age, and some details that is completely optional. The T app has way more than that. Matter of fact, the T app also has a registry where you could even look up criminals to see if the person is a criminal or not, which is blatantly unfair.
And when you mentioned that to, I mean, did you mention it to the Apple team saying, hey, listen, that app that you guys already passed has way more violations of the very same policies? Did they mention why?
Yeah, so I did mention to them when we were on the phone together and they were going through the app and critiquing it. It was a man and a woman. The woman was testing the app, and they were saying that after they critiqued the app, and I asked them, the T app was doing the exact same thing, even the T on Earth app, which I have suspicions about. They said, I don't know. They said, we don't know the full features of those apps. We will check that app to see if it's actually doing those things. So they were acting weirdly aloof and playing dumb. But the problem is that during the call too, they also said that a lot of apps of this genre are trying to make it through. So they know the genre and they know the apps are on the Apple Store. Yet their representatives acted as if they didn't know the full features of the T app, which is weird to me.
And when you pointed it out, they said that, well, we're going to go and check. Have they gotten back to you and said, oh, whoa, that's right?
Yeah, so they didn't actually get back to me. I was actually hoping for that.
Now, I also reached out to Apple's media department, and apparently they have a lot of in common with modern women because they ghosted me right away. Now, mind you, the media departments for these companies are specifically there to reply to any type of inquiries about any media related stories. And by the way, a lot of journalists, and I've done this in my previous channel when I was an automotive journalist, you email them from a very personal, non-identifying account for the inquiry. So they don't know you. I could be a small YouTuber like me, or I could be representing one of the biggest newspapers in the country. So the fact that they didn't reply to it kind of matches with what Anton said here, is that they're just plain dumb. Now, unfortunately, this is not the first big American, essentially, corporation or big company that bluntly discriminates against men. Now, by the way, let me be very clear that I don't have a problem if a bunch of women that I've dated before, even though I treat women very well, I never lie to them. They always know if I'm dating other women at the same time. But even if I'm there and there's a bunch of lies and it's my picture there and all of that stuff, I don't mind, because I would never want to date a girl who is part of this toxic community of other single miserable women trying to give each other advice. That essentially disqualifies a girl for me anyway. So I don't really care. Now, do we need to have the same app for men? You can argue that, for example, in my case, I don't need another guy to tell me about a girl to know that I don't want to date her, right? Her tattoos and nose rings or attitude, or the fact that she doesn't want to meet for just a coffee, which is ironic because this app is called the coffee, tea, coffee. That's already a red flag enough for me. However, there are, especially, this app, Anton told me that the coffee app has a section where you can say if this girl ever had false accusations against a man. Now, that is something that I think I might want to look up and use. Though, again, I feel like it is not that hard to tell when a woman is just not a good future partner, not a good person. Like, these women are not hiding it because they don't even know that it's a negative, right? Now, the original T app is, it got hacked, and that's why the whole story broke. It was based on a network of Facebook groups called "Are We Dating the Same Guy?" This is where girls were trying to figure out, are they dating a cheater? Again, I think I can easily argue that it's not that hard to tell. Every time a girl says, "Oh, that guy cheated on me," I'm like, "Let me see him." Oh, yeah, that looks just about right. So much like men, but women specifically, I always say they are the worst species on earth when it comes to picking the right partner for themselves. They are the dumbest. I mean, the earthworm it can pick a better mating partner than modern women. Now, there was a lawsuit against one of the communities, I think in Chicago, Illinois, but recently, I think this week, it got dismissed. I did look into it as well. It just looks like the guy who was filing the lawsuit wasn't really follow up very properly, and I think he didn't even show up to court once. But at the same time, I don't really see where it breaks the law. I can see how, it's a violation of your privacy and all of that stuff. But I mean, it's a violation of the terms of service, obviously, as the Apple pointed this out to Anton, except for when it came to violating the privacy of men and disclosing their information, they had no problem. And this is a story that I feel like I've been doing over and over and over again. It's the now large corporations, because I did a story on TikTok earlier this week, not even last week, this week, where it's not a big deal. It's commonly accepted to discriminate against men. There's another lawsuit that's going on that I'm kind of following to cover for you guys. Is somebody sued one of the clubs that they were charging men a higher price than women. We all know it's a blunt discrimination, but nevertheless, everybody does it. Everyone's cool with it because this is the culture of simps and feminism. This is one of many reasons why I left America. I cannot imagine myself living in a society like that. This is why I picked Southeast Asia as my new home, because none of this bullshit flies here, at least yet. So this is not uncommon. And as I mentioned before, this is going to continue until men decide to stand up for themselves. And we can do it in two ways. First, we can demand that the politicians that we vote for, whether the Republicans, Democrats, Independents, have men's rights on their agenda, have men's issues on their agenda. Because right now, I can't think of one, honestly. And it's funny because yesterday I featured a story where Barack Obama, a couple of weeks ago, criticized Democrats and progressives, how poorly they've handled men's issues, and it seems like it's an issue that Republicans are better at handling, where I argue they are not. But that is the problem, that men don't have men's issues anywhere on the priority list when it comes to voting. And secondly, at some point, we should be able to unite over one cause, for example, whether Apple or TikTok or whatever, and boycott their advertisers, their products, and so forth. If there's enough of us doing it, we will at least make a mark saying, like, we don't want to take this anymore. But for as long as men don't give a shit about their own issues, about their own rights, this is going to continue. This app, the rejection of this app just shows you that American and Western societies are not going to be on your side. And until you start fighting for it like women used to for decades, nothing is going to change. And the longer we allow this bullshit to go on and on and on, the deeper the hole we're digging ourselves into, the harder it is going to be to climb out of it, if we ever will. Like I said, shame on American men who only ended up uniting over the trans person advertising their beer, right? That got them off of the couches and actually boycotting the brand and changing whatever it is that they wanted to change. But when it comes to the actual real everyday issues that I cover on daily basis, whether it's just blunt discrimination against men or false accusations against men with no punishment, like I did a story yesterday where a woman not only got away with falsely accusing five hockey players of sexual harassment and rape, essentially. And not only she got away with it, didn't do any time for lying, but she made significant amount of money on that. Until we do that, things are going to get worse and worse and worse for us. Let me take a quick comment from the live chat. Well, when a male does it, says The Rock, it's, oh no, you misogynist criminal, let's get you canceled, go die. But when a female does it, everything's fine, you go girl, women power, you can do it. I couldn't have said it better myself. This is exactly what is happening in Western societies. And guys, I got to tell you, yes, it is unjust, but it is up to you now. I was going to say up to us. I don't live there anymore. It's up to you to unite, to, for example, share videos like this and raise some noise to the point where at some point maybe we will have some power, because we don't need all men to unite over any type of a cause, right? Women have shown us how to do it. They got really good at it. So we have a playbook on how to fight for our rights. whether it is legal rights or cultural rights. And I argue that men are second class citizens in America and many other Western countries in both categories. Uh, so it's a cause that we have to pick. Now we only need to, let's say, boycott a sponsor or brand or an app, whatever, where they lose 10% of their revenues. That's already going to be a big hit enough, right? So it really doesn't take that much to make a point. And yet, unfortunately, we're not there yet. KL says Masandri is an all-time high. Wake up, men. This could be a slogan for my channel. So until then, Tim Cook here can tell you, fuck you, man, and we're all gonna have to take it. I will definitely follow the story and I will let you know if there are any developments. There's another story that's very similar that I'm following that I will also let you know about once the time comes. All right, now let's get to the next segment. And this is where I'm going to have to switch some things around on the screen. Um, and I will catch up with other comments in a second, guys. And let's talk. Let's talk about the Delulu of the week. And this week we're gonna meet this lady that's got a bit of a shock when she started dealing with the real world. So let's see what she has to say.
Else suffered from the opposite of daddy issues, hear me out on this. My dad is awesome. He has integrity, emotional intelligence, he's kind, he's funny, did a great job of raising me.
No, he didn't. He did not do a good job of raising you, because I look at your other videos, I see your nose ring, I see the tattoos, which are essential indication that you were raised by a simp. And I've made videos about that. You can look those up. But those characteristics that you've listed, none of them are characteristic of a good, strong male figure. So I hate to tell you this, sweetheart, but your dad is a simp daddy.
Because of that, that was the example of a male figure in my life. Then I grew up and I started interacting with like the general male population. I had assumed, based on my dad, that all men and boys were going to be like him.
And this is the problem with a lot of Western women. They are brought up by either simp fathers, beta dads, or single mothers, which the result is essentially the same. And they think that all men are simps. And you know what? They're not wrong. The majority of American men are simps. But then.
Spoiler alert, they're not. I had to figure that one out.
Well, I'm glad you did, sweetheart, because there are some of us that are still left. Well, I already left and I now live in Thailand, but some of us are still left who are strong, real men with boundaries and self-respect, and we don't tolerate all kinds of bullshit. We don't tolerate tattoos and nose rings and the attitude, and we're not going to shower you with compliments and money like I'm sure your father did. That's why you're in shock.
On my own. Then it creates this other problem where you assume if a man is missing these traits, that they are still within him somewhere. So then I become Bob the Builder, and it becomes my job in my head that I have to, unearth those things. That simply does not exist. That's not a thing, and it never will be.
That's true. You cannot turn a strong alpha male into a simp just by trying to make it a bit of a project for yourself. Now, I got to tell you, I've met quite a few women like this that, you meet them somewhere, sometimes not even a dating scenario, and they try to kind of dominate you in a conversation or trying to push you. And then when you push back, they go like, whoa, what the hell is happening? This guy's not simping for me. This guy's not allowing me to interrupt him. He demands respect. You got to see the shock on their face, especially here in Thailand, where some of these women come here to visit and sometimes even stay, though they don't usually last that long. The shock on their face is just, it's unbelievable that when they actually see pushback, because they grew up without fathers or they grew up with sim daddies, And they never really meet a real man anymore because, like I said, even the strong men in America usually stay the fuck away from the dating scene or interacting with these modern women. So when they come here, and someone like me who can say anything I want here in Thailand without any type of punishment as a man, uh, actually throws their shit right back at them. And this is where they're in complete shock. As a matter of fact, yesterday, the real man of the week segment featured a comedian who just did just that during his comedy show, and those women were in shock, and so was the audience, that he actually talked to a modern woman like you should. And if anything ever is going to change, um, in a dating world, the only thing that we need to change as men is we need to stop simping. Honestly, if tomorrow every man stops simping, things will turn around within days or maybe weeks. The turnaround will be very quick. The only reason the dating scene is such a fucking mess that men are either walking away and just stop dealing with women altogether, or like me, getting the fuck out of America or whatever Western countries we live in and move to other countries. That's right. A lot of us decided that these women are so toxic and poisonous, we cannot date any of them, that we need to physically get our passports and get the fuck out of our own countries where we have families and friends, where we speak the same language and understand the culture, and so forth and so forth. That's how toxic these women have become. And of course, they're the ones who will call us toxic as soon as we open our mouths and say, hey, that's not okay. I'm not going to take that disrespect. Ugh, toxic masculinity, right? Now, it is kind of cute that this girl genuinely was raised by this simple little beta male, and she thought that, oh wow, all of these guys are going to be like this, and once in a while she comes across a real man and gets a bit of a culture shock. However, as I said, she will not have a problem dating another simp just like her dad, who will give her all of the drugs that her daddy got her addicted to, right? The validation, the compliments, and of course, the money. I would love to meet her, whatever guy she's going to date. And I guarantee you that he is going to be just like her dad, a simp. This is, once again, just like I ended the previous segment, this is not going to change um, until men stop simping, or until the high value men will stop simping, because there's still tons of high value men who are educated, good income, well traveled, all of those things, and they still simp for quite average women. uh Here's a question in the live chat: what are some examples of gentlemanly behavior that made women bad? For example, giving flowers, opening doors. Any other example? So here's the thing: giving flowers is good. I give flowers to my girlfriends when we are in a relationship. That is actually a gentlemanly thing to do. The simping part, don't forget, simping is when you give women the attention, energy, time that they haven't earned yet, right? So if you bring flowers on the first date, that's simping. But if this is your fifth anniversary of your marriage or of your relationship, absolutely bring flowers. When I end up in a real serious relationship with a girl, I bring her flowers on a weekly basis, because she has now earned it, because she is already fulfilling her role of cooking and cleaning and massaging me and bringing me peace and bringing me feminine energy, making sure I look good when out in public, even when I'm not around, So, no, giving flowers is not a bad thing. It's all about timing. Just like paying for dinner. A gentleman should pay for dinner, but not on a first date, maybe second, third, and so forth and so forth. And an expensive dinner should be at some point of celebration, either her birthday or anniversary and stuff like that. It cannot be, an everyday thing or a first day thing. So a lot of simping is actually done because of the timing, right? Back in the day, you could bring flowers to a girl on the first date, especially if you talk to her for a little bit before that, and take her to a nice restaurant, because her intentions were always the same. She genuinely wanted to get to know you, so maybe you will proceed to a serious relationship. That's not what women want nowadays when they demand the dinner as a first date. They literally just want you to spend money on them, get a free dinner, get free drinks, get whatever else they can get for free. And a lot of times they ghost. Uh, the simp of the week next week is the guy who went through exactly that. And it's so easy to pick these videos for you guys that I already have lined some of them up for you guys weeks ahead. So, opening the doors. So yeah, I wouldn't like here, like I said, I don't open doors for Western women, only for Thai women, because essentially the chance that you're going to be ignored and disrespected just by opening a door for a girl is just too high. Um, but again, it's not the kind of behaviors that we're talking about, it's the timing of that behavior, right? Compliments. If you are dating a girl and it's a relationship, you can compliment her. Some of the one of the love languages of the submissive traditional women is words of validation, right? uh, yeah, words of validation. Sorry, I'm pretty sure I got it a little bit wrong, but so that's okay. You can give her a compliment, especially if she went to the gym, dressed up, did her hair, did her makeup. Absolutely, give her a compliment. Validate her effort to look good for you, right? But you should never give a compliment in the first 24 hours or even throughout up until the last part of your first date. That is simping nowadays. Used to be perfectly fine, but now, unfortunately, it is simping. And the reason for that is exactly what we saw in a segment of the Delulu of the week, right? This girl, and again, it's probably not even her fault, she was raised by a sim father. That's why she's got tattoos on her hands and probably somewhere else on her body, right? No strong male figure who is a father would want his precious little girl inked up all over the place with a nose ring. I'm sure he communicated that to her, and because she has no respect for him as a simp, she did it anyway. And he probably bent. He probably like, okay, well, my little girl can do whatever she wants, right? So yeah, it is almost not her fault, but it looks like she's hitting reality. There are more and more men that are standing up for themselves. I would prefer the progress to be a little bit more at this point, but it is what it is. All right. Now let's move on to the next segment. And this is where I review real women's profiles every day for you guys and suggest whether you swipe right or left, depending if there are yellow flags or red flags and so forth. Today's dating profile of the day is of this girl. Her name is Brianna. And believe it or not, I would suggest to swipe right on her profile, but not for the reasons that I normally suggest that. Um, you can easily see by her pictures that uh, she is not a girlfriend material, if you will. I don't see any tattoos here, though. I'm pretty sure I did see in one of the expanded pictures, but I thought I did. Now, of course, if she has tattoos, absolutely no reason to do that. But in her profile, she even tells you she's not looking for a long-term relationship, right? Um, um, she did not forget to click that most important checkbox. And in her profile, she basically says, "Hey, listen, just go in with the flow, and we'll see from there." Right? Um, don't talk to me until we've had coffee. That's a little bit rude, but whatever. She smokes weed, which is, I'm okay with, but it depends how much and why and all of that stuff. Um, doesn't have any kids, doesn't have any pets, is interested in hookups, short term dating, and new friends. Now, she's 27. Not a very appropriate picture here as well. I don't see my future wife or my future girlfriend kind of doing this. This is not the worst pictures we've seen in dating profiles, but this is still a bit of a yellow flag. But here's why I think you should swipe right on it. If you want to get a friend with benefits, which I don't know why anybody would not want. If you're a single guy, friends with benefits, it's good for you in so many different ways, including regular sex with a partner that's committed to your sexual relationship, having some good feminine energy in your life. I love it. I've always said multiple, and absolutely do now here in Thailand. These are hard to find in America. I think girls who are willing to be friends with benefits are harder to find than women actually want a long-term relationship. And this one doesn't seem to be poisonous. This does not seem to be a gold digger, right? A lot of these girls who's like saying, yeah, absolutely, I will hook up as long as you make my car payments, or as long as you be taking me for expensive dinners. So essentially, you kind of hiring a subscription prostitute. In this case, I find nothing wrong with her profile where I would say she would want to exchange sex for money or goods or services. So in this case, and she's not ugly, I don't think she is. Um, Nice body, I would say. It is very rare where I see profile and say, "Wow, this girl can be a great friend with benefits." She's not a gold digger. She's not a sugar baby or whatever. She says she values honesty. I see nothing wrong with this profile. Yes, she's not a girlfriend material, though she could be, right? Essentially, if she one day decides to want to be in a relationship, though she is 27, so time is running out. But if you want a friend with benefits, I'd say count her in. This is very rare. This is very rare, but I'd say go for it. So that would be my recommendation on this profile. This is what a profile with no red flags and pretty much no yellow flags looks like, and yet it is not for the long-term relationship, which is okay. The Rock says, here's the philosophical thought regarding women. She's not yours, it's your turn. This applies to prostitutes who went outside the West. In the West, it applies to women who jump from one guy to another. Yes, but see, I am a huge supporter of prostitution. I believe it should be legal. That's one of the rights that men should fight for, is to make prostitution legal. I live in Southeast Asia. It is cheaper to hire a professional here than to take a girl out on a real date, like, drinks, dinner, and a movie. Okay. It takes the power from women who use sex as a bargaining chip completely away. Now, you don't have to want to use prostitutes, it's up to you, right? But having it as an option, and women knowing that their cooch is not worth that much, is a it's a game changer. It's a fucking game changer. I would fight, like, one on top three on my priority list if I was to fight for laws to be changed, would be legalizing prostitution. It is a must. Now in the future there won't be probably prostitutes. There will be AI humanoid robots for men to pretty much never need a woman for sex, but it is absolutely a must. So, yes. Now, I also am not on the side of Andrew Tates of the world, where I want a girl who is pure, a virgin, or had a very low body count. I have had enough of those girls here, and even in America, where you get together with a girl who has a low body count, and you realize she sucks in bed, and I don't mean in a good way. I mean, she's awful in bed and not trainable either. Because a lot of guys go like, "Oh, it's okay. I'll find a girl. She might not be really good, but I'll teach her." No, you guys don't understand. The reason these girls have a low body count is because they don't really like sex. They look at it as a symptom or a side effect of a relationship. They don't look at sex as an actual physical pleasure exercise. That's why you cannot train them. It's not in here. So I actually don't mind having, getting together with a girl that had some experience. Now, if it's in the hundreds or whatever, then yes, we have all kinds of emotional and issues and STDs probably and stuff like that. But, if a girl had a healthy number of sex partners, I would prefer that girl rather than to a virgin, because I got to tell you, I've had enough of that. You guys live in America, a lot of you, and you haven't met women that I meet here, and they're kind and they're great, and it's it's easy to kind of fall in love with them. But the fact that they're so bad in bed, is a problem for me, because to me, sex is the number one priority. I absolutely must have it. The quality should be high throughout the entire relationship. If it's not there, I'm just not interested, no matter um, how amazing the girl is in many other ways. So, yeah. And listen, if you have a friend with benefits, she probably has other guys, just like you should have other girls. And of course, you need to talk about safety and STDs and all of that stuff, being an adult. But when you have a friend with benefits, why do you even care if she's hooking up with other guys? I mean, like I said, it's a friend with benefits. Use it properly. Um, KL says, I agree, prostitution would be. I'm surprised that the prostitution has not been voted in, for example, in states like Nevada or even California. It's unfortunate. He says it's to prevent women and society from manipulating the male sexual libido, which women do all the time. Women do this all the fucking time. And I got to tell you guys, I've been in many places where, maybe it's not legal, but it's there for you. And it is freeing. It is freeing to know that anytime you want to have sex, you're going to save time and money if you use the professional services. So it is what it is. But like I said, I don't have a problem with the women saying, hey, I just want to hook up, no hard feelings, and I think this is great. I am in a few of those relationships right now. Absolutely love it. Recommend. All right, let's move on to the next segment now. And, let me also change the graphics here for you. There you go. I'll keep my eye on the chat in case if there are any other comments. The comment of the day is you get two for the price of one. And it comes from two older guys, from what I'm seeing in the pictures. And both could absolutely be the father of the girl from the Delulu of the Week segment, because both of them appear to be simps and apologists for shitty behavior of women. Now, both of these comments are for the video that I did about TikTok, how TikTok disallows videos that criticize women. Or in my case, I showed a video of a husband defending his wife and himself once they got jumped by 5 women and kicking their ass. That video basically was denied by TikTok for the For You feed, which essentially killing the video altogether, while allowing pretty much the same video of a woman attacking a man at the airport, which I covered as another story. Now, what my point was, and I featured this in a different video, is that TikTok actually promotes the glorifying violence against men, specifically domestic violence against men. And I showed them a channel that's got millions of subscribers, tens and tens of millions of views, where this couple essentially makes the light out of domestic violence against men, making the funny videos. Now, I said, listen, it absolutely goes against the terms of use of TikTok, where you glorify violence against men, which, by the way, domestic violence against men is the number one underreported crime. That's also probably one of the most growing crimes in countries like America. So I said, listen, if you could show both videos, I am good. And if you deny both type of videos, I am good. I cannot tell them how to run their fucking platform, right? It's their platform. There's no freedom of speech there. It is a private property, if you will. However, what I fight against is discrimination against specifically men. So I said, well, when I show a guy, and by the way, I blurred the most brutal part of that video, when I show a man defending himself by having to punch a couple of women who attacked him and his wife, you say it violates your terms of service. But glorifying violence against men, where I myself showed a video where a woman was physically assaulting a man, you have no problem. So that was my point. But as you can see, both of these simps say, oh, it was made out of rubber, it's not real, it's called humor. I get that. I get that. And video was kind of funny, I guess, if you're into that. I don't judge other people's sense of humor. My favorite comedian is Anthony Jeselnik, and he's not everyone's cup of tea. And I get it. Don't tell me that, like, oh, you missed the joke. No, I didn't miss the joke, but you missed the entire point. And yes, I'm pretty sure that was not a real fucking iron pan flying into his fucking head, because he would have gotten hurt. And I think they've done that bit many times when she throws something, heavy that looks like an assault with a deadly weapon into his head. But the audience doesn't know that, right? They even added a side of a sound effect where it sounds like it's a iron pen hitting someone's skull, right? So they made it look real. Now, yeah, we get it, but the fact that it is something to laugh at essentially promotes the violence, right? And you don't have to go that far or watch my videos. Just think about the situation being reversed. And you tell me how funny it is if I make a bid of a husband coming into the house after a long day at work and saying, hey, where's my dinner? And the girl goes like, fuck you, you make your own dinner, bitch, you know? And he goes and punches her in the face, right? Could be funny for some people, but do you think this is appropriate? Do you think this promotes the violence against women, where a bunch of guys start watching it, videos like that, saying, oh, a lot of people laugh at it, so I guess it's not a big deal, right? Do you think TikTok would allow a video like that, or really any other platform? The answer is fuck no, right? So again, either allow both types of videos on both sides, or allow none. But allowing one that essentially is anti-men, and never allowing the same, for the men to do, then, again, this just called discrimination. And this is what my channel is about. This is, I think, the third time I'm going to repeat this. As long as there are men like this making apologies for people, women in the society, discriminating against them, right? These are the guys, these are not even women. These are the guys who are such simps. They're willing to be the apologists for the very species, the women, who discriminate against them, right? And by the way, humor about the domestic violence on TikTok is not the worst thing that's happening to men in America, right? Yesterday I covered yet another false allegations, false accusation story where a woman made money on falsely accusing men and ruining their careers and lives for at least 7 years, and got away with it, right? These are the things, they all go together. They all go together because as you allowed this with the help of this beta males, you going to continue to allow more and more and more discrimination against men. I cannot imagine living in a country like America anymore, where I am definitely a second class citizen, not just in the eyes of the law, but also in the eyes of the culture, you know? And I just can't do it. And I don't know why you guys would either. The Rock says, it was made out of rubber, not real. Comment got me thinking about women who do Botox or plastic surgery. And as such, their looks aren't real. They're way too good looking for their own good. So this is a different topic, which, again, I do not agree with the majority of the red pill influencers. I call bullshit. I love when a woman does makeup, right? Let's face it, a woman who puts the makeup on and 99% of the time looks fucking better, you know? And secondly, it's not even about the makeup, right? Because she definitely takes the makeup off to go to bed with you, but it's about the effort of looking good. To me, that is the most important thing. When you see a girl in a makeup, you don't just say, oh, wow, she's pretty. You say, wow, she really knows how to look good, right? That is the most important part. Same thing about wearing heels, wearing good clothing, doing your hair, going to the gym. It's all about the effort to make yourself look good. Now, you can also say, Alex, well, plastic surgery is the same thing. Yes, but unlike makeup and doing hair and wearing heels, plastic surgery is something that will endanger your health, right? Going for any type of surgery, there are complications. Um, I think it was P Diddy's mother, right? One of the rapper's mothers died after her breast implant surgery, or I think it was breast reduction surgery, right? These plastic surgeries they still have some really sad outcomes. There are also problems after the surgeries that you can have. I mean, I just had a hair transplant, which is not even a surgery. It's kind of a procedure because it didn't even leave the scar. And it took me 3 to 4 weeks to recover from that, just because it brought up all other little health issues that I've, had under control. All of a sudden, they've all, came back, including my eye problems, you know, so yes, these are surgeries that can go wrong and can actually affect your health, right? Also, with breast implants, for example, it is harder to determine breast cancer because of some of the implants themselves, the scar tissues, and you simply cannot get to some of the potential cancer spots and determine it early, which is the key for not dying from breast cancer. So to me, going for a plastic surgery is a little different. Botox. Here's the problem with Botox in lip injections, because we have a lot here. Like in Southeast Asia, here in Thailand, just so many women, because it's so cheap. So many women have plastic surgery and injections and stuff like that. The problem is they never look better, because every single woman who goes for the fucking plastic surgery never takes advice from men about how to look better, right? It's always advice from other women and watching other women like Kardashians on TV, thinking that's what men want. The majority of men, I would say like 99% of men, do not want their girlfriends to get plastic surgery, right? We want them to use better makeup. We want them to go to the gym more often. But we don't want them to go under the knife or have their, face being stuck with needles. And a lot of these women look like, I think it's called puffer fish, right? One of those fish that's like normal fish, but if another predator is trying to eat them, they puff up into a bowl, so it's impossible to swallow them. That's what they look like with those lip injections and Botox. So if Botox and lip injections would make a girl still look normal, I'll be like, all right, like, especially if you're in your 40s or 50s. But girls doing it, like overdoing it, and girls doing it in their 20s, that's a little silly. That's definitely not for me. So I would I would avoid that. But still, yeah, yeah, yeah. And just to bring this home, we need, I don't want to say get rid of men like this. I mean, maybe just going to die off on their own. We need to fix men like these who are apologists for the very type of behavior that hurt themselves and their fellow men for no other reasons but because we are men. It's always the best, says The Rock, when both men and women increase their looks using natural means, such as going to the gym, dressing nicely, and washing frequently, and not going to extremes like I mentioned. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. And on that note, guys, I will start edging towards the exit. Tomorrow is Friday, so one more live stream before the weekend, and I rest on the weekend. No, I do have to say that I tried to make one video in Thai for my Thai channel, which is a bigger of a challenge because my Thai is still not great. Not great. I don't know what the news story of that I'm going to feature tomorrow. That I have 2 or 3 choices already. I thought it would be very difficult to pick stories for such a niche market, but every day I have 2 or 3 stories that I kind of trying to pick from. Today's story, I essentially, like I said, I dug that up myself. I'm very proud of that, and thank you to Anton for giving me the interview, the essentially exclusive interview. I hope once this hits Reddit, there will be more coverage from maybe bigger influencers, and we'll get Apple to start behaving a little bit more appropriately. So KL asks what time tomorrow. So I stream Monday through Friday at noon Bangkok time, which is, did you guys just have a time change in America? We don't have time change for that stupid fucking thing that they do in America. But essentially, I believe noon here is 10 a.m., right? Sorry, 10 p.m. in California, and 1 a.m. in on the East Coast in New York and Miami. So, but don't worry. I also, if you want to participate, which I absolutely loved, KL. Thanks for participating. It's pretty much the same time every day. I stream for about a little less than an hour. And then I repost it in different pieces and do verticals and stuff like that. You can also catch up that way, but nothing like a live stream. I absolutely love doing this. So, all right, guys, have an awesome the rest of your night, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace. If you want to ditch modern women and move abroad for more traditional relationships, go to themillionmanproject.com, take my most comprehensive course, and change your life.